tough. You can't fool her. She's the best at what she does. Ira Gershwin. I never knew how good our songs were until I heard Ella Fitzgerald sing them. Keter Betts. There are only geniuses in music, math, and chess. Ella is a genius. Billy Strayhorn. Ella is the boss lady. That's all. Bob Bach. Ella Fitzgerald has been called the greatest and the first lady of song and almost every other superlative for so long now that it begins to become one of those accepted bromides like an apple a day keeps the doctor away, etc. Metronome Magazine, the greatest pop singer of them all. Playboy Magazine, the greatest jazz singer in the world. Ebony Magazine, the #1 vocalist in Milan. Leonard Feather. If one all-around queen of jazz vocalists could be chosen, it would have to be Ella Fitzgerald. Benny Green. How many songs is Ella guaranteed a kind of immortality merely by recording them? Henry Pleasance. She commands an extraordinary range of 2 octaves and a sixth. This is a greater range, especially at the bottom, than is required or expected of most opera singers. And Ella Fitzgerald. I've had some wonderful love affairs and some that didn't work out. I don't want to dwell on that, and I don't want to put people down, but I think all the fabulous places I've been, the wonderful things that have happened for me, the great people I've met, that ought to make a story. Introduction. Ella Fitzgerald. The name conjures up thoughts of the Savoy Ballroom, the Chick Webb, Duke Ellington, and Count Basie bands, hot jazz, sweet ballads, and recordings by the thousands. There is so much more to this career, touched by genius, the famous, and the infamous. I had started out to write a book about a career in music, but I found I could not tell the whole story unless I included more. It was fascinating before I got started, and while the amount of material involved was voluminous, I was even more fascinated with the story behind the music when I finished. This was not an easy book to write. Those who worked for her during the time this book was researched were tremendously protective of her, almost to the point of paranoia. Therefore, this is an unauthorized biography. The book started with an idea from Val Valentin, longtime recording engineer for Verve and Capitol Records. Valentin holds incredible esteem in the industry, having worked with Frank Sinatra, Ella, Connie Francis, Nat Cole, and many others. A mutual acquaintance, in fact, an old flame from his boyhood days, introduced us, and a friendship resulted. Still handsome, Val carried a twinkle in his eye and a head full of memories in a body that was well over 70. Everyone in the business knew him, and not an unkind word was said of him. He was very, very nice to me, a person who could do nothing for him in return except offer friendship. Val was, at that time, working in the office of Norman Granz, Ella Fitzgerald's longtime manager and producer. Val's job, it seemed, was vice president in charge of looking after Ella's needs. When asked why this man, literally one of the founders of the modern recording industry, was doing this kind of work, his answer was simple. I love her. We have been friends for over 40 years. Norman would give me the shirt off his back if I asked for it. So now, Norman has asked me to do this. I do it with a full heart. It included driving Ella to her doctor's appointments, dealing with her household workers, having leaks in her roof fixed, traveling with her whenever she was able to work, and fulfilling her every request. Val was a very spiritual person and did not consider this a come-down. He'd had a big career, and now he was helping his friends. At lunch with me one day in Beverly Hills, the topic of misinformation came up. So much of what had been previously written about Ella was, as he said, so much horseshit. He worried that the truth of her career would never be set straight. You know, young man, you ought to write a book. Ella and Norman are getting old and are not in good health. When I die, all the memories will die with me. Once I told Val that I was indeed going to write such a book and submitted to him a sample chapter. He was enthusiastic but cautious. You must get Norman's approval, he said. Write him a letter, and I will make sure